Hi, welcome. Welcome to Qigong Live Online. We had a bit of a glitch this morning in the sound, so we've got it all sorted out now. Welcome to our new place. This is our first part. We're going to do our studio up, but this is our first one today. We're in a new location, so welcome to the class. So we're going to do, what I'm talking about before is we're going to do two different classes. I'm going to do the exercises for the flu today, and we'll talk a little bit about the flu and what that represents in Chinese medicine. And in the beginner's class at 10 o'clock, I'm going to do the common cold. And exercise you can do for the common cold too, so you can understand both of those. First of all, before we do it, we're going to bow, yeah? Roll back on your thumbs. Cool. Welcome back. I think Mark H, you're still online. Good to see you. Was there somebody else online too? Was there somebody else online? Write it on the board so I can see. Who's it, Lonely? Lonely Williams, welcome. So glad that you stayed with it to get to our class today. So we talk about the flu. Now in Chinese medicine, they don't talk about virus and flus and things. They don't talk about that. They talk about invasions from pathogenic factors from outside. As I say, we'll talk about the cold one when we're in the beginner's class about the common cold. So the flu is usually a heat problem. It's a wind heat invasion. And they call it the flu influenza, but that's debatable for about that one. We'll talk about how Chinese medicine sees it. So you get too much heat in the body, and that's why you get the fevers and things, because the body's trying to get rid of the heat out of the body. And you get visual disturbances where your mind's all getting all hazy, you sweat lots, you get hot and cold sweats, you can get, you sit in bed and you feel like you're dying, you feel like all your nerves are all going crazy. Well, all of that is just a super amount of heat in your body and you're overheated. It's almost like hypothermia, but it's like the phase of that without the actual getting the heat to a stage where you actually pass out, or actually can pass, you can die. But the body's trying to regulate itself. So of course, when you get all this heat in the body, and you can get it from being out inside, you get sunstroke, you get outside too much heat. You can get too much heat just from food, having too much really hot food. You can get fevers from that just because you get too much heat inside the body, creates too much heat, too many warming foods, too much ginger, all those things can trigger this if your body doesn't have the mechanism to cool itself down. And the mechanism to cool itself down is the regulational body of the hot and cold in the body is your kidney energy. Now your kidney regulates hot and cold with the kidney yin and kidney yang. But if the kidney is depleted, then the regulation of the hot and cold becomes more difficult. It doesn't have the power to do that. So it's slower and it struggles to balance it off. And so then you get the body reacting to the fact that the body's not regulating itself, and you get all the hot, cold, just sweating, all that sort of stuff that happens with the wind heat or the heat problem. Yeah, we call it a flu, but you understand the principle. So what we're going to do is we're going to assist the body to get rid of the heat out of the body, because that's what it is. And as I say, we sweat at night time, which is always a good thing, because when you're sweating, all the heat going out with the sweat, and that's a good thing. You want that to happen. You want that fluctuation of the heat to get out of the body. And as I say, why you get the visual in the head, because you've got a lot of heat in your head, and it's disturbing all the thoughts and all the pathways in your mind, and you're getting all this disturbance. You're getting heat through all your nervous system, and so the nerves feel that you get hypersensitive. Everything's really, you touch yourself and everything's really super sensitive. And all it is the body's a miracle way of trying to rectify that by trying to regulate itself, to harmonize itself and to bring it back into harmony. And so how it does that in various different ways. But the big one, of course, is it tries to get rid of the heat out of your body. Now, if you get heat in your lungs, of course, you're going to start coughing because you're trying to cough the heat out. I mean, if you're a dog, you're a dog that has too much heat, sits there and pants. And that panting, of course, takes the heat out of the body. But we don't do that as humans. Most of the time it comes out through our skin. Yeah, some heat comes out through the breathing. So we're going to do a couple of exercises to do it. First of all, we're going to talk about the main acupuncture points that are used to reduce heat out of the body. If somebody comes to me with a wind heat problem and they're overheated and they're feeling like this, mind you, most of the time I don't see these people, because when you're feeling that bad, you're usually in bed and you can't move. So they're not going to go and see an acupuncturist because they can't get out of bed, let alone do they feel, remember, they're hypersensitive. So that's the last thing you feel like, is having somebody put the needles on you. You just want to lie in bed and sweat and feel miserable. But it's a good thing, because the body, all you got to do is rest, and the body will regulate itself, because the rest is probably what you need. Because if you're tired, the regulation of the hot and the cold with the kidney yin and yang is not working. So the more rest you get, it strengthens the kidneys, and then the kidneys can regulate your temperature and you get back to normal again. So that's why it's quite often when you're tired, the body just wants to lie down. It doesn't want you to move around. It wants you to stop, rest, so the body can repair itself. And it's a normal function to do that. As I say, that's why you don't see people with heat problems in my clinic so much with a flu virus, because they're not the flu virus, but the understanding of that heat attack. The last thing we want to do is be walking around out there in the world somewhere. Anyway, but if you could, but we're going to show you what you can do at home so you don't have to go to visit anybody. And there's a couple of major points. One of them is on the palm of your hand in Hu-Gu, the point in Hu-Gu, which is that pulpy piece between your thumb and your index finger, which is the lung meridian and the large intestine, that pulpy piece in the middle. And that's a point. So you want to stimulate this point. Now I'm going to do it two different ways. So you're going to rub the point and just massage the point. Now in your mind, in your intention, is you want to stimulate the body to release the heat out of the body. Now that's your intention. I'm rubbing this point to stimulate the pores, to open the pores on my body to let the heat out. That's my intention. If it would be the same intention if I put a needle in somebody when they've got super amount of heat in their body, I'll be putting the needle in and I'll be thinking the same thing. I'll be triggering that thing to release the heat. Yep. Do the other side. Good. Now the next point we're going to do is large intestine 11. Just there. It's right there. It's between the crease. When the crease comes up, you see the elbow crease comes down. Right at the end of the crease is the point. You're going to rub that point, yeah? And you're going to do the point. Now this point is one of the major points taking heat out of the body. So I'm going to stimulate the point, and my intention is to trigger the same thing again to open up the pores to get the heat out of the body. And that's my intention to do this. And exactly the same thing I do with the needle. I put this one in, and I put this one on both sides. This one and the other arm as well. Good, so we're going to do it the other side as well. So we've done Hu-Gu on the other side, so we do large intestine 11 on the other one. Now what will happen is when you do these, especially if you are really super hot, you're going to sweat like crazy because it's going to open the pores and you're going to start sweating. So as I say, what will happen, now it might not just happen straight away. I've always noticed, by the way, I've just started sweating more because I'm doing those points, because what it says is hot here anyway, but what it does is open up the pores on your body to let the heat out. So we're doing those 2 points, both sides, both arms. Good. Now the other major point for getting heat in the body is da zhui, and it's right in the back in your spine. So when you go down your neck vertebra, your vertebra in your neck, and you go down, if you run your finger down the back of your spine, and you'll find there's a big bump, a big vertebra at the very, very top of your shoulders. I'll turn around so you can see that. So you come down, and right there, as you run down the spine, back down your neck, you run down, and then you run into the first big vertebra. You have your neck ones, and then you go bang, right into this big one here. Right in between that big one is a hollow, right in between, underneath it. So you run over the big bump, and straight into that is a hollow. You want to put your finger in that. It's called da zhui. Now this is the point to get rid of the heat out of the whole body. It gets it out of your nervous system, gets it out of your spinal column as well. And normally I'd needle that, but quite often you'll cup it as well. You put a cup on it. But what you can do is you can just do circles on it. Intention again, get the heat out of the body. Now this point alone, I've done this on my son when he's had a fever, where he has that wind heat exposure. And I've done this point to him, and it's just his temperature's gone down straight away. Yeah. Like instantly I'll do this, and it's just, his whole body just cools down from really, really hot and just gets cool. It's a miraculous point for getting rid of heat out of the body. But all you have to do is, I'm just going to rub it today. And what the other thing you can do, this is a Qigong healing with this idea, and we're going to do the other one. So now that we've stimulated the point, what you can do is you can, in your mind, you can think of pulling the heat out, yeah? And we're going to do it with the 2 large intestine points. So I'll turn around so you can see it. So I might have to use the other hand. I'll go that way. So I'm going to think of the point, and I'm going to pull the heat out, yeah? Pull it out of that point. Now you'd be surprised, I do this with my son, and it just works without even touching him. just do this. Because quite often when he's got that hot thing, the last thing he wants me to do is me touching him. So pull it out. So pull it out, and you think of reducing the heat, pulling the heat out of the body. Yep. See, I can actually, this is bizarre, I can actually feel my body getting cool doing this. Don't you love that? I'm showing you and I can feel it myself. That's great. Yeah, I feel the coolness is coming on my face. So you can pull it out, yep. And you can do this for a while, and you'll notice the cool. So you go back to the same point, the large intestine points, and you can pull it out. This is you can do on kids. You do this on yourself, and you're pulling heat out of the body. And the weird thing is you can feel it almost coming out as you do this. And you could do this for a few minutes to do this. Pull the heat out of the body. Remember, we're activated to open the pores, but now we're using it to pull the heat out of it. We're getting the heat out through the point. So we're using it for two different reasons. One, to open the pores. Two, to reduce the heat. Cool. Do the other side. Now this is part of Qigong healing, what we're doing now. Energetic healing without touching anybody. It's like, same Reiki is similar. Reiki is Japanese and Qigong healing is the Chinese version of the same sort of modality, yeah? Cool. Very good. So the next one we're going to do exercise from 5-element Qigong. We're going to do the lung exercise from the 5 elements. Actually, no, we won't. I'll change that because we can. We'll change it. We'll do the pushing clouds. We'll do pushing clouds from the long life Qigong system, which is for the lungs, but we're going to teach you how to get the heat out of your lungs, yeah? So you're going to bring your hands up. Bring your hands up the front. The hands aren't touching you. Turn them to the front. And you're going to push them out that way. And as you do that, you're going to lower yourself down. Yeah? Then you're going to lower your hands down, and you're going to slowly stand back up again. Then you bring your hands up, and then you push the hands forward, and you're going to lower yourself down. As you push forward, you lower down. And then as your hands come down, you stand back up again. Good. So now we're pushing the heat out of the body, out of the lungs. So we're breathing in as we come up, breathing out as we go forward. Breathe out through the nose or breathe out through the mouth. Then breathe in as the hands come down. And then breathe out as you stay in the stationary position. Then breathe in as it comes up. There's a pause breath. Breathe in as it comes up. Breathe out as it goes forward, breathing down. Breathe in as it comes down, as you stand back up. And then breathe out as you relax. Breathe in again. Very good. Now I can feel the heat changing this one as well. I can feel the breeze. Breathing out. Breathing in. And then breathe out as you relax. Breathe in. Breathe out as you bend down and push forward. And you imagine the heat coming out through the palm of your hands. Breathing in. Breathing in all the nice cool energy, the cool air. And breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out all the heat out of the body. Breathe in. Good. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. And then relax. Breathe in. And then breathe out as you go down. Breathe in. And then breathe out, relax. Good. So that one's a really good exercise to get heat out of your lungs. Because of the Quite often the heat from outside, how we get heat into the body, sometimes it can just be from the hot air. The hot air overheats your lungs. Once it overheats your lungs, then the heat from the lungs goes into the body, and then it overheats the body. So what we do is we're breathing out the lungs to get rid of the heat out of the lungs. That exercise will do that. The next one we're going to do is to get heat out of the heart, because once the heat gets in the heart, it creates that manic feeling, dysphoria. When you're in bed, when you have that hot cold thing, the flu thing, you get manic and your mind goes crazy, yeah? And so part of that, the heat that does that, creates that, and a lot of that's because it's coming to the heart. You get heat in the heart. So we're going to exercise to get rid of heat out of the heart. Now we've got heat out of the lungs. We've got heat out of the body through the pores. We're going to get heat out of the body through the lungs. So we're going to take an exercise out of the Duan Jin to do this, and it's an exercise designed to get rid of heat out of the heart. It's called wag the tail. Looking left and right, wagging the tail of the dog. We're going to step off with your left foot. Now I'm going to mirror you, so I'm going to go the other way, but you step off with your left foot. So it's a wide stance. And you turn your hands around so the palms are facing out. So you don't want to put the hands on the legs this way. You want to turn them over so they're facing that way, yeah? And then you're going to stand straight. So when you stand straight, you want to back straight. And when you get to here, and I'll turn around so you can see that. When I get to there like that, what do I do is I don't want to lean forward, and I don't want to be leaning backwards. I want to have my back nice and straight. Yeah, and I'm standing like that. Yeah. And I tuck my pelvis forward, so it goes, instead of sticking out, it tucks forward and then relaxes. Like that. Tuck your pelvis forward, back straight. And we're going to go down your right side first. I'm going to mirror you, so I'll go down the same side that you're going down, so you can do the same way. You're going to go down the right leg first. And you're going to bend forward down the right leg. And you're going to look forward and then put your head up, so you're looking straight ahead. Then you're going to go across from one side to the other. And then you're going to come up the left leg. You come up the left leg, turn back to the front, and then sit in the posture. Tuck your pelvis forward. That's it. Perfect. Good. So now we're going to turn. We turn our body, our torso, turn us to the side. Our legs stay exactly the same place, just to turn our torso. Then we go down that leg, going down the left leg, looking up, go across the bottom, and then come up to the other side. And then come up the other side first, and then come back to the front. Good, and then tuck your pelvis forward. And this time we breathe out through the mouth in this exercise. We want to breathe out the heat from the heart. And we're using the lungs chi to breathe out from the heart the heat. We go down the right side. Take a breath in. And breathe out as you go down and across the front. Breathing out through the mouth. Breathe in as you stand up. And then breathe out as you go down. Breathe in. And breathe out. And do it again. Breathing out on the way down. Think of breathing out the fire out of your heart. The word I was thinking was delirious. Is the word I was thinking of before. You become delirious with the heat. Breathe in. And then come back to the front. And then stand straight and back up again. And then bring your foot back in again. Yeah? Bring your left foot back in again. Very good. So I would do that exercise. Do it 3 times. It's not an easy posture to be in. Go 3 times as in go down, across, up, down, across, up. That's 1. So go across and back 1. Cross and back 2, and cross and back 3, and do it 3 times. And you do that a few times. Now, you'll notice now, if you were hot now, you'll notice it'll make you start sweating. Because what the exercise is doing is generating the heat to leave the body. That's the nature of that exercise, what it's doing. It's also coming out through the breath, like a dog panting. It's coming out through the breath, through the lungs, but it's picking up the energy of the heart, and it's coming out through the breath. Yep. But because it's the nature of the exercise, it's also going to bring out energy through the pores as well. And you're going to see this getting slight sweating. I can feel my body. It's hot here anyway, but because I do the exercise, it makes it release the heat. So after I finish this class, I'll cool down and the body will just regulate itself. Yeah? So hopefully that's useful. These are simple things you can do to help with the heat in the body, to get rid of the heat. The hardest part of when you're doing this is not so much the exercise, it's the motivation to do it. Because when you're really, really stuck in bed with what we call a wind heat in Chinese, and they call it the flu, but in Chinese medicine it's called a wind heat attack. The last thing you want to do, besides the fact you're super sensitive, is you don't want to walk around. You don't even want to get out of bed. When somebody tells me they've got a wind heat or the flu and they're walking around, I say, you haven't got the flu, you're not getting out of bed. The body's just shut down. You also lose your appetite too. So it doesn't want to give you energy from the food. It wants to, whatever you've got, you're going to use everything to regulate itself. Yep. Because if you have food, the chances are, if you eat food and you have anything to do with warming foods, whether you have sugar or anything else inside the food, it's going to heat you up even more. So the body's very clever. It takes away your appetite. You don't feel like eating. And that's what normally happens during a wind heat attack. It's the last thing you do. You feel like eating. That's the last thing. You'll drink water because because a lot of the fluid's going out, a lot of the heat's going out. You'll need to hydrate yourself. So these are the points. But as I say, the hardest part to do them is the fact that you won't feel like doing them. But I would encourage you to. It does make a difference. Yeah, it makes a big difference. Do the points. Activate Hergu. Activate large intestine 11, both sides. Do those things to open the pores. Do Da Jui at the back, stimulate the point, and then do the plucking method, which is the plucking method to bring the energy out. Do it on both sides. Just know that you mightn't start sweating straight away, but when you go to bed at night time, you're gonna soak your sheets because you'll get rid of it. You know, when you have a good sweat, quite often you'll wake up in the morning and it's gone. That's what you're actually creating that to happen. You're creating the body's release of all the heat through the sweat. So you go to bed and sweat like crazy and you wake up and your pillow's wet and everything's wet because you've been sweating all night. But you'll feel better, yeah? And that's the most important part. And that's happening because of the fluid that's leaving the body, all the heat that's come out, yeah? Because the heat's going out with the moisture. It's going out with the fluid. Make sure you hydrate yourself at the end. You need lots of fluid to do that because as fast as it's going out, you need to have water in your body. Remember, the body's using the heat to get rid of it's using the fluid to get rid of the heat. The heat's going out with the water. It's not just heat going out as in moisture. It's like when we breathe in and out of our skin, we breathe, our heat and our energy goes out with the moisture. In a hot country like here in Bali, if I put myself in a plastic bag, it wouldn't take very long for all the condensation would start appearing around the bag. And that's coming from my skin because my skin, the vapor's coming off my body. And the heat's coming out with the vapor. And that's what you get on the droplets for. So that's how the body gets rid of the heat. It comes out with the moisture. That's why you have to keep drinking lots of water because you still need the water. It's just using the water as a vehicle to get rid of the heat. Yep. That's why usually with a flu and things, you don't necessarily get a cough. You can get sore throats because the throat will get dry. Sometimes you'll get a dry cough because the lungs get dry because of the heat. But generally the coughs come with the next one, which is the common cold, which we're going to do shortly in the beginner's class. So if you want to hang around for about 5 minutes, we're going to do the other one. And you'll see, we'll talk about the cold, how the cold gets the cold out of the body, slightly different. Similar method in one way, and it's different in another anyway. So I hope you find that useful. It's one of those things you have as tools for the rest of your life to know how, if that's what happens. As I say, hardest part is to motivate yourself to do them when you're feeling like lying in bed and you don't want to do anything. Anyway, hopefully that's given you an explanation of how Chinese medicine sees it. That they don't talk about the bug theory, they talk about the heat. That's what's creating the problem. So hopefully that's useful, and we'll see you next week. And we'll change our set again before next week. We'll have something look quite different next week as well. So have a great week, everybody, eh? And pass this on to people. If you know, if you're a parent, you can use it at school for your kids. You can, as I say, you can use these exercises for your child, and you can do it yourself. You'll be surprised how efficient it is and how much it works. Very cool. We have a new film operator today. Believe it or not, it's interesting. We're doing hot and colds. Both our filming people both got the flu. Or they both got, that's not true. Because it's not the flu anyway. I don't believe they've got the flu. I use that as a terminology. But they've actually, because we were moving, we've been upsetting all the dust, and they've actually got dust in their body, and their body's reacting to all the dust. And they're coughing and spluttering, and I've been doing the same thing because I've got dust inside my mouth cleaning up here as well. And I've got a sore throat, and I've been coughing up, and it's not a cold. It's just the body just trying to get rid of the dust out of the body. I've absorbed too much of it in my lungs. But anyway, the two of them are not here because of that. So we have a new person today, and so this is her first time she's ever done this, so it's great. And thank you, Nithya, for stepping in to do that. I appreciate it. Good. Roll back on your thumbs. 2 thumbs together. Gong. Very good. And step back and bow to everybody else. And have a a wind heat free day. Bye-bye, everybody. See you next week, eh?